So there's a story over at King 5 about the Seattle Police Department putting out new information, essentially saying we've seen a spike in armed carjackings all across the city, many of which involve teenage suspects. Not every single one, but many of them involving teens. And not only does that raise obvious public safety concerns, it raises a whole lot of questions as to, yet again, why is it that we are seeing, in particular, juvenile criminals acting out in this way? It's putting a strain on investigations at the Seattle Police Department, a police department that is not fully staffed, not even close, gotten a little bit better, but we're nowhere even close to being able to handle this. So why is this happening? What's going on? And when they say there's a surge, well, what exactly is a surge, right? Is it too extra? No, it's a lot. It's a lot. They say an incident that happened about a week ago in Belltown had a 14-year-old boy who ended up getting shot in self-defense after police said he was among a small group of people attempting to carjack a driver. So a 14-year-old boy shot in self-defense from someone who was the potential victim of this alleged carjacking. And the teen is still in critical condition. But detectives are saying, look, we've got a backlog of cases, and we're not going to be able to really handle this. Now, for some reason, King 5 decided to talk to State Representative David Hackney about this. And maybe he will come on the show, because this is a dude who just a few years ago was all about being lenient on criminal juveniles. This is the dude who, I believe it was 4 years ago, because I talked about this the week of Christmas on Tucker Carlson Tonight, he introduced a bill that would have gone retroactively to anyone who was caught in a drive-by shooting and removed that as an additional criminal punishment for anyone with they're called enhancement charges. He wanted to get rid of that. So I guess all of a sudden he's changed his tune, telling King 5,
as law enforcement is not keeping up, individuals are going to take it into their own hands. There needs to be serious intervention at that time. Current law in Washington required a juvenile to be convicted of the possession of a firearm 5 times before they can be held in the criminal justice system.
A policy that was put in place because of lawmakers like you. Let us be clear. I'm grateful that he has had a change of heart. But he has been responsible, personally, for the culture of lawlessness, particularly around juveniles. And while I'm grateful he has suddenly changed his tune, does no one over at King 5 want to point out this is a dude who was responsible for where it is we find ourselves in? This is a guy who supported the bill that prohibited law enforcement from vehicular pursuits, which seems kind of important in an armed carjacking. But now he says, well, juveniles in particular, they have to be held accountable.
I recognize there is a sentiment that incarcerating youth traumatizes them, but so does violent crimes traumatize the rest of the community.
Thank you for saying what we had been saying for years while you were saying the opposite. But again, I don't want to give him too much of a hard time for changing his views. I'm grateful that he did. I just kind of wish he could have seen the world the way we saw it for years and years and years, rather than pretending that we were the crazy ones, that we were wrong for calling out his permissive policies. That's the reality. Now, he wants to revive House Bill 1536. That would go after the 5 times before you can be held in the criminal justice system for possessing a firearm as a juvenile. I want you to think about that. Again, in Washington State, a juvenile has to be caught with a weapon 5 times before they can be held accountable legally. 5 times. Do you know how difficult it is to catch a juvenile 5 times? And can we all point out that if you're caught, let's say 5 times as a juvenile, you've probably had that firearm and committed a whole bunch of crimes dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of times, if not even hundreds of times. But that is the state of Washington at work. And real quickly, can you remind me, how did we get to a point, Jackson, in which we had 5 times having to be caught with a firearm before a juvenile can suffer a consequence?
Democrats?
Yeah, exactly. Democrats. It wasn't a trick question. You treated it as if it was a trick question. Where did you have to think about it for a second? It was like, could that have been Republicans in charge? No, it's always been Democrats. And a spokesperson for the prosecuting attorney's office in King County, Casey McNerthy.
Anytime you see the report of one carjacking, that's pretty traumatizing for the victim. You got to change the behavior to where they understand and feel the seriousness of it.
And by change the behavior, what he means is throw these people in jail where they belong. That's where they belong. You commit an armed carjacking. Sorry, I don't even care if this was your quote unquote first time offense. Yeah, I don't care. You want leniency? Go steal a Butterfinger and get caught at the 7-Eleven while not armed. I'll be lenient with you. Or you can be I stole this loaf of bread because I need to feed my starving family. I've got a 5-year-old younger brother. We're just struggling. I'll give you leniency. Bringing a gun and trying to steal a Kia or Toyota or BMW. Yeah, no, sorry. You go to the pokey. And keep in mind, in Washington State, up until the age of 24, you're put in juvenile detention facilities, by the way. Yeah, that seems like a really smart move.